Objection!
Hello everyone, Trails Through Daybreak 2 will be releasing soon on February the 14th, 2025. And to help hyping the release and commemorate it, I will tell you guys why Daybreak 2 will be awesome. For reference, I've beaten the original Japanese using incomplete fan translation, and I will be using the same for this video footage. Personally, I enjoy the game very much, and clocked more than 120 hours in it. And I will try for this video to have no spoiler as possible and stick to what has been released from the marketing material. Without further delay, let's start the video. Number 1. Mini Games. For all fans out there, I can proudly say that we are so back. We finally get mini games back. We have been teased and played around on Daybreak, but no more. Our cry is finally answered by Dios and her thick thigh, and we have our mini games back. There will be 3 playable mini games. The first is the return of the best mini game, fishing. The fishing mini game will come back with a brand new mechanic than the previous game. Not Van that can fish, but players can choose any of the party members to fish. Only that, but now we will be able to fish any body of water instead of a specific point in the field. Just press the fishing shortcut, choose your type of bait, aim at which part of the river, pond, or sea that you want, and cast your net, fellow fishing cultist. The second mini game is a brand new mini game that we never got previously, which is basketball. Thanks to Calvard Republic's more modern setting, we finally can get a basketball mini game. The game can be played in several brand new areas. In Daybreak 2, and the game will be played in 1 versus 1, where you can use any of the Arcride solution and their ally against other members. The basketball mini game will be played in 2 rounds where players will be attacking and defending the ring. It's based on the 3-on-3 play rule in real-life basketball. As attacker, the player will have to time the shot and power to score a goal, and as defender the player has to time the jump and hand direction to defend the ring. Whoever has the most goal at the end will win. The third mini game is 7 Hearts. It's a brand new card mini game that replaces Vantage Master. The difference is that 7 Hearts is played by 4 characters and more casual play. The game is like a mix of Uno and the made card game, using the standard deck of cards, where the player's aim is to deal damage to the opponent while having the most number of cards. Each card will fall into a specific element, and the player have to put down another card that win against that element. If failed, then the player will take damage. This mini game needs some luck, but also card counting to know opponent card, and predict what is the best move to play. And the last is a stealth mini game that is tied down to a specific quest, so the player cannot initiate it as they want. In this mini game, the player is tasked to follow a target to a certain location without being noticed. When you get too close, the target will get suspicious and found the player. To counter it, the player can hide behind some props or wall or decrease distance for the target. After the drought of mini game in Daybreak 1 game, Daybreak 2 offers a nice amount of mini game that bring a nice change of pace to the player to make them re-engage with the main story of the game. Same as the previous Arc second game, Daybreak 2 will focus more on the character development and interaction between each other now that each character has been introduced and established in the previous game. Added with the returning character and new setting will make countless memorable moments. Daybreak 2 will feel like a toy box that Dios and Falcon play around to see how it ended up with. Higher stakes and involvement of many factions in Daybreak 2 will force some characters to make hard decisions, and adapting to the new problem will force the character in situations and interact the way that never before from the previous 11 games. Trust me, you guys will not be ready for what happened in the game. It will blow all your mind. This game probably has one of the best character interactions from the entire series. It managed to make me cry and laugh. Finishing the game makes me feel closer to each character, and feels like I know them for years to the personal level. Contrary to the previous second game formula, where we will revisit the same place, but with a new twist, Daybreak 2 is breaking the cycle. Instead of revisiting the previous place, almost the entire game will take place in a whole other new city and location, with only Edith that will be expanded with some new district location. Beside Edith, one other new location that will come back to revisit. I can feel your guys' fear of going back to Tharbid Desert, but I will not tell you, and I hope you guys will be impressed with the new location. Beside the return of Arcride solution, Some new characters will become playable and play a more prominent role, including the beloved Picnic Squad. Yes, after being teased by many of the NPC regarding the Picnic Squad in Daybreak 1, now Swin and Nadia will finally come back since Reverie. It's been almost 2 years since the Elysium incident, so they have grown up a bit. Now with more modern gameplay, Swin and Nadia are ready to tear apart the enemies. They still retain their gimmick with Swin able to mark enemies for guarantee critical and Nadia able to quickly use arts. For Zero Cannon fans out there, I will say that we are back. Besides Swin and Nadia, we will also get Kincaid, Shizuna, that previously playable for a small portion of Daybreak 1 and Ren for the first time playable in Calvert. Kincaid and Shizuna will be back with some new arsenal that can flip the tide of battle. And Ren will come back and show the might of the Angel of Slaughter. Time to give the enemy the taste of that one tower fight in Trails in the Sky SC. Beside the 5 characters that have been mentioned, there will also be several other playable characters that will join Arcride's solution to help them fight this terrible nightmare. Plenty for player experiment and play around with their favorite combination. If you are a fan of the Reverie corridor from Trails into Reverie, you will be on a treat. Marchengarten is a semi-optional new randomly generated dungeon just like the Reverie corridor. Here the player will be able to pick any team without being restricted by the story locked team. Just like the predecessor, the player will go through multiple levels of the dungeon with the goal of clearing each level of Marchengarten by defeating the floor boss. After continuing the main story, a new level of Marchengarten will be added to explore. Clearing Marchengarten will give players a currency that allows players to gacha for new resource material and costume. Combat has been refined both for action and turn-based mode. For action mode, they added a new quick arts that lets players use arts outside the turn-based mode. Beside that, the player will also be able to do a quick swap of character when doing perfect dodge. The newly swapped character will automatically deal a charged attack and gain a short period of buff. For turn-based mode, the game has added dual arts and dual attack. Dual arts are high-level arts that deal damage based on 2 types of element, giving the player more options in exploiting enemy weakness. Dual attack lets the characters attack together a stunned enemy. This new feature gives players more tools in their arsenal for combat. Beside adding a new mechanic, many of the combat experience has also been revamped, both for action and turn-based. Many of the attack, craft, buff, arts and their multiplier has been adjusted to be more balanced, including everyone's favorite Cobalt Curtain. With action mode feels more fluid and faster pace, and turn-based more opportunity for experiment. S-Craft art will also come back in the form of character 3D model posing before launching their S-Craft. All the new changes in combat is one of the biggest highlights for Daybreak to that many people agree. It is the best Trails combat. Daybreak 2 will take place almost right after the Daybreak 1 ending. The mysterious 8 Genesis, the appearance of Red Grendel, the movement of Ouroboros, mystery of Grimcats, the return of the Picnic Squad, and the plan of Calvard's new president, will become the stage for this nightmare. This game story will be a big treat for every Trails game, and for Elaine fan out there. I'm happy to say that Elaine will take a much more prominent role. Her screen time with Agnes will almost be reversed with Elaine. The villain of Daybreak 2 is not only memorable, they are not only very emotionally tied to our heroes, but they also will conclude the story from the past game. Many of the fan-favorite characters will have deep ties with the villain, and I'm sure many people will be very happy learning more about them in the full game. And that's all folks from me. I hope everyone will be excited and enjoy Trails through Daybreak 2 when the game finally releases on the 14th of February 2025. My last advice is to play the game in moderation and try not to spoil each other intentionally. Have a good day. Bye.